Breakfast at Fish and Ease. There's some wild and wacky Cowboys personnel stuff going on. Allow me to walk us through this, and let's do this calmly, shall we? On this midweek morning. I'm Mike Fisher, your trusty and trusted reporter. This is like live. We are scrambling over to the Star today for a full day. So do it this way with me. Don't get in, get on, be good. Just enjoy the program as we walk you through. Wait a minute. I think the Cowboys are really going after Belichick. Well, no, wait a minute. I think the Cowboys are really going after Jim Harbaugh. Wait a minute. The Cowboys are going to lose Will McClay. Oh, no. And, oh, by the way, the Cowboys are going to fire Mike McCarthy. Slow down. You move too fast. You've got to make fish for breakfast last. Cowboys preparing for their third playoff appearance in the last 3 seasons. 12-5, 12-5, and 12-5. NFC East division titles under your belt. I have reported in this space and at CowboysSI.com, and believe me, after 34 years on the Cowboys, 40 years covering the NFL, I understand the landscape. Never say never. It's a useful mindset. But I am also reporting to you, factually, exclusive. Jerry Jones has no plans to fire Mike McCarthy. That could be the end of the show. But I got 8 more minutes to go. Jerry went on 105.3 The Fan on Tuesday and said the same thing that I just told you. Why won't anybody listen to him? That's one of the most, and Sean and RJ have reason to be proud of this. That's one of the most listened to radio segments in the country. When Jerry Jones goes on The Fan on Tuesdays, the country listens and pays attention. And they do a hell of a job with him, by the way. Here's what Jerry said on Tuesday. And you can have your theories. Mr. Sean, Mr. Ralph, I don't know how I could be any clearer. Now listen to this. I don't know how I could be any clearer. Now, there's one way to be clear. Mike is under contract next year. It's not an issue. I'm very pleased, just between us girls, with what he's done. He's the big difference this year. Why aren't people hearing this? Now, there is one more way to be clear, but there's no reason to do it. One more way to be clear would be to say, unequivocally, no matter what, come hell or high water, lose 50-0, he's staying. Lose 100-0, he's staying. He insults Jean Jones to her face, he's staying. He tells me to shut up and sit down, and he's taking over the cup. He's staying. You could do that. But short of that, Jerry is telling you what I've been telling you. There are no plans to fire Mike McCarthy. And then Jerry went stronger than that. I don't know how I could be any clearer. Mike is under contract next year. It's not an issue. I'm very pleased with what he's done. He's the big difference this year. He didn't have to say that. He could have said what he's being parsed as having said on Sunday, which is, we'll see. Which are words that came out of his mouth in context. Based on the success, based on those remarks, and based on my report, I don't know how somebody could come away saying, yeah, but with much credibility. It's difficult to imagine a scenario under which the Cowboys would make a change at head coach, but the rumors run wild. Why? And about whom? Well, one of those, second question to answer is, Jim Harbaugh? And, yes, again, Bill Belichick. Bleacher Report says Jim Harbaugh, and they're completely making it up. They are completely pulling it out of their arse. Bleacher Report writes, could Dallas be one of the teams interested in Harbaugh? It's difficult to believe otherwise. Who wrote that? It's difficult to believe otherwise? What kind of gibberish is that? They also write, he's the ideal candidate. No, I've told you this before. I have 45 people that work for me. CowboysSI.com and covering the NFL, and DallasBasketball.com and covering the NBA with Sports Illustrated Arena Room. I have 45. I have never allowed anybody to write the word ideal unless they're talking about the Mavericks signing Jesus. If the Mavericks signed Jesus to play point guard, I might allow the word ideal to be used. There is no ideal. It's not how this works. And in that one, there's no sourcing. It's just some guy pulling it out of his purse. Mike McCarthy, 36 and 15. Career record of 165, 102. And he's done everything right this year. I've told you this before. When do you fire a coach? Except for when, the conflict with the owner. Outside of that, there is some bar of expectation, of course, that must be met in terms of wins, losses, success, and then losing the locker room. Can you imagine what Dak Prescott would say if Jerry went to him and said, Mr. Dak, I know that you and Mike worked really hard all year on this Texas coast offense, but I've decided I don't like him. Can you imagine? How about this new thing on Belichick? Peter King, I've been friends with Peter King forever. At least he didn't do the some people say bullshit from Adam Schefter. But here's what Peter did do, and it's a mistake. He parses Jerry's Sunday quote. Accidentally, because Peter King is sound as a pound. But I think he took it from one of the local beat writer tweets who parsed it. Accidentally on purpose? Here's the quote. We'll see how each game goes in the playoffs regarding Mike's security. He did say that. And if you just tweet that, you are lying to your audience. It's a lie of omission. Not dissimilar to when we got Shefty saying McClay, some people say McClay's leaving. Will McClay, now requests have been submitted to Will McClay, to the Cowboys regarding Will McClay and general manager vacancies. Washington among them, Carolina too. Requests have also been submitted, Dan Quinn. And by the way, that's how it works. You have to go to the team and you give them a slip. By the way, in Dan Quinn's case, I believe his window for a virtual interview with Washington, Chargers, Carolina, should he choose to, he can decline. He could also decline, he could say, I don't want to do it this week. But Tuesday is the opening of that week window, and it's virtual. He'll just do it from his office in the Star. He's not going to Carolina, if even says yes to all of these. So Peter continues. He's reading this quote off Twitter, because Peter wasn't there. And it says on Twitter that Jerry said, we'll see how each game goes in the playoffs. And Peter writes, my first thought was that Jones wants insurance in case Dallas has an embarrassing end to its season. Yes, that's valid. That's not a thought. That's reality. That's never say never. That's cover your ass. Then Peter says, my second thought is Jones wants a shot at Bill Belichick. Now again, at least Peter didn't say, some people say. This is Peter saying, Peter thought it. Let's slow down. You move too fast. You've got to make breakfast at Fish and E's last. What Peter has done, I'm sure accidentally, is parse a quote that he got off Twitter that is not reflective of what Jerry really said. Here's what Jerry really said on Sunday, and that made more clear on Tuesday. I just think his record speaks for itself. I think of what he's done and that we've put ourselves in this position over these last 3 years. I think that does speak for itself. That's an endorsement. And then he said, the other part, we'll see how each game goes in the playoffs. I think Jerry said that. I think Jerry says that on purpose. I think Jerry likes being on the front page, above the fold, as he has called it, and we used to call it the newspaper business. I think he did that on purpose, knowing full well that people would parse the quote, that people would inaccurately or unfairly parse the quote. I think privately, Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, and Mike McCarthy know that he's pretty much not going anywhere. And I think Mike McCarthy is accustomed now to knowing Jerry's not going to come out and announce that. And he doesn't need to. Jerry is not telling us that he's firing McCarthy in order to hire Belichick or Harbaugh or anybody else. He's telling us, while keeping never say never door open, he's telling us exactly quite the opposite. The real question is, why in the hell aren't we listening? CowboysSI.com all day. We'll be with Big Mike on the practice field and in the locker room all day today at the Star as well, and then Fish at 6 live. Thank you for doing it like live with me this morning. Fish out.